Never before in all our history have these forces been so united against one candidate as they stand today. They are unanimous in their hate for me, and I welcome their hatred.
The needs of working families and the middle class, not just the billionaire class. We know what's going on. We are paying attention.
Good morning, everybody. It is Saturday again, and it is maybe the end of the corporate age in a while, but right now we have the beginning of, actually it's not the beginning, is it? We have the continuation of, the extension of, the enlargement of our bombing of another place in the Middle East. Although we've been bombing this place anyway, just Obama bombed it with style. And now we have Trump who bombs it just cut. And Chuck Schumer showing us where real Democrats stand on the issue. A little bombing is good. At least we're not using chemicals. We're targeting. I'm not sure who we're targeting. The Guardian put out a beautiful, that's where the picture comes from. That's that beautiful penis extension in the sky. The Guardian did a lovely expose, reminded me of the first Gulf War with the beauty of our missiles and the gorgeousness of our explosions. No pictures of dead people, though. I noticed that. The Guardian never showed, none of these, the war proponent magazines really show the death that's happening, unless it's an American soldier or it's an American soldier holding somebody who supposedly somebody we're protecting. Remember, we've only allowed 11 Syrian refugees into our country this year. So apparently our policy is, you did something wrong and killed a bunch of people. We're going to come in and kill a bunch more of those people to show you, teach you a lesson. But we didn't use chemicals. So bipartisan support of bombing the fuck out of Syria. Kind of sad and depressing. Mission is accomplished. That was sent by 45 in a tweet, right? We do government by tweet now. And the mission that was accomplished was $5 billion increase of stock value for Raytheon, because those missiles were made by Raytheon. A lot of those. So mission accomplished. That's the whole point of war for profit. Made a lot of profit for Raytheon. And probably everybody in Congress that has stock in Raytheon, right? Good for them. Good for them. Anyway, good morning, everybody. We got a lot going on. We are going to talk, hi, Dina, what is CFAR? We're going to talk about what is CFAR. And we're going to talk about the splitting, the different, it's great. We have enough progressive stuff going on. I guess this is the positive. We have enough progressive stuff going on that we actually have groups that are splintering. We have an entire entertainment news wing of the progressive movement now. It's really frustrating. We battle both sides of that. But and Laura Livengood is not with us this morning because she is just taking a break because she needs to. So she's taking a break. All right. She's been doing a lot of stuff, and her real work, the one that she has to do for, paying the bills and stuff, that is just kicking her ass and has her doing all sorts of crap. So she needs to take a break. But we have Joe Cicada with us today, and he's going to take her place, and we're going to talk about bombs and whatnot. Ron Paclone on the show tomorrow. Before that, though, they've been waiting patiently. I'm going to bring on Brian Ramirez, who is a volunteer not only with our organization, but also with CFAR. I'm going to call it proper. And we're going to bring on Kelley Lane, who is a spokesperson as well for, I don't even know what to call you guys officially, CFAR prop. What is, how do you separate yourselves as names? Welcome, guys, and just start. Tell us what the hell's going on with the CFAR thing. Before you explain the split, though, tell everybody what it is, and then launch into the problem here. Brian?
Okay, what CFAR is it's a contract that is meant to give progressive candidates a means of separating themselves and differentiating themselves from their neoliberal counterparts. It's a means of showing the voters that this is my platform, this is what I'm putting my name on, and this is what I believe in, and these are the policies I'm going to support when you elect me. So it gives the voters something that they can also point to and hold these officials accountable to once elected. So that's the whole point behind CFAR. Now, what's happening is, for those that are unaware of CFAR, there may have been some confusion from candidates, activists, and voters that there have been two CFAR websites. This split occurred before either Kelley or myself started working with CFAR. We have made the decision to join the author of the original contract, which can be found at CFAR2018.com. And over to you, Kelley.
So CFAR is a populist contract designed to help get candidates who actually represent the people elected. Recent changes include the decision by others to promote MMT with CFAR. While we're not denouncing MMT, this goes against the core idea of the contract, which is that every item must be supported by the majority of Americans. MMT is known by few and supported by even fewer.
MMT doesn't fit with CFAR because it's an economic system that we already have. We just want that money spent on progressive policies. To single out progressive candidates, as this other organization has done, for not necessarily understanding or promoting it when they still want that money spent on these same progressive policies, just doesn't make any sense. None of us as progressives has the moral high ground to just attack each other on such ridiculous and petty grounds.
So I find, progressives tend to be very passionate about the issues they deem most important. And the way to convince others to join your cause is not to harass, belittle, or call other candidates and activists terrible names because they are not promoting your particular issue. For example, I focus on election integrity. There's a lot to learn, and not everyone is interested in the details, and that's okay. That does not make that candidate, activist, or regular citizen a neoliberal or stupid.
CFAR was also written as a promise to the voters, and we do not condone or agree with having them lie or cheat just to get elected, because it's kind of what put us here in the first place. And we've got such bigger issues. I mean, right now we're about to go to war. I mean, we are going to war with Syria, but this could draw Russia into the foray, and then we're in World War III. So we have much bigger issues than these, and these are the things that we need to be focused on, and to be distracted by these petty little disagreements just does not make any sense.
I agree with that. So what you're describing here, if I understand you guys, is that there's been a split in the CFAR, and what you were talking about in the group, and what you were talking about to me in Green Room was that both of you, who have been really, from my perspective, my progressive bubble, the two most outspoken proponents of the CFAR contract. You've been on more social media. You've been talking about it, and both of you really discovered that the original contract writer was more in line with what you were talking about than what the split in the group is, and so you're partnering, or you're realigning yourselves as spokespersons of CFAR with, and what is the website URL again, please?
CFAR2018.com.
Okay, and there's a .us, everybody, and that's the wrong place to go.
Right.
All right. And go ahead, Kelley.
I want to say that everyone, I think, knows who Victor Tiffany is, Bernie or Bus. And I have worked with him for several months, and it's been a good experience. It's only been recently that we're really not seeing eye to eye on things, and Brian and I both disagree with some tactics that have been taken and some alliances, as I just described, and sort of just the behavior of people. And we just don't want that to be the focus. The focus needs to be on candidates and on the issues, and not petty arguments, and not, definitely not, we don't want to be aligned with anything that's promoting any of that behavior or being dishonest, because we need candidates to be honest. I think people, the general public, can tell now. We're not fooled when the DNC says, yeah, we're progressive. You know, people don't buy that anymore, and we want to get behind something that is where the candidates are making that promise to the voters, and we just can't condone lying. So
awesome. All right, well, thank you. And so Victor Tiffany, who was basically the founder of the Bernie or Bust movement, and then kind of transformed it into CFAR as the revolution continues. He's running the other version of it now, is what you're saying.
Right.
The two of them were working together prior to my joining. I really had no idea what had occurred. So we only met, yes, the other one not too long ago. So
all right. And the solid difference here is that the original contract doesn't promote any non-progressive ideas like being abusive or cheating or lying or whatever the other things we're mentioning, which are, you know, we could discuss the validity of those tactics, but you're just saying, you know, you guys don't want to be a part of that, and neither does the original creator of CFAR.
Right.
Correct. And actually, I just want to point out the original creator of CFAR also happens to support MMT, but agreed that it just is irrelevant with this contract because it's not understood by the majority of people.
I love that statement, and I just want to say there are many things like that right now in the movement. Okay, MMT, like you said, it's in place. It's just a question of where the money goes. It's not like something that's going to save the everything or change everything dramatically. You know, a lot of people like to talk. Why aren't we talking about chemtrails every day? Well, because it's not paramount to what we have to accomplish. Okay, and that's really what we're after here is not being so granular and focusing on the bigger picture. Right.
Right. Exactly.
Nice. Well, thank you guys for coming on and telling us this. I think most of us weren't even aware that this split was going on, this stuff was going on. So I appreciate you being upfront and transparent and letting people know where to go to sign the contract if you're a candidate, right? To find out more about it and why we should support it. I personally support it. I think it's a great idea. Now that I understand what it is, I didn't really get it, but I think it was you, Kelley, who reminded me of the Newt Gingrich contract. And I went, oh, shit, this is the same kind of thing. And it was really popular back then. Yeah. So anyway, anything else you want to tell anybody, last minute things, where to go or what you need help with?
Brian?
Just to go to the CFAR2018.com site and sign up if you want to be an activist or if you're a candidate and want something that's going to set you apart from your neoliberal or conservative counterpart. There's your means of doing so. I mean, you sign on with the contract, and you can point to the contract as, you know, what separates you from your counterparts. It's a great way of showing that you are a progressive. Yeah,
it's actually I'm going to just say this: it's a way to get yourself an endorsement.
Yes.
Right, because you're signing it, and if you're in a race with 3 progressives, and there are races out there that have multiple progressive candidates that have slight differences here and there, that's one way to separate yourself.
Exactly.
So,
and we hope this clears things up.
Absolutely, absolutely. Brian, Kelley, thank you guys so much. Really appreciate the work you're doing and coming on to share the information.
Thanks for having us on, John. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. And thank you, Markus. Markus just dropped a link to the website in the chat. Give me a second here, everybody. I got to get the cameras reset. We have Joe with us. We have Markus here, of course. And now I have to actually put the back on camera. Let's see. There's Joe. This is the Saturday show, so I don't owe you any professionalism whatsoever. How do we look here? Not bad. Let's see. Except I got Joe. All right. Joe, you're in the middle today.
All right. Yay.
Wow.
Hang on. We're almost there.
You
Yeah.
sound very enthusiastic about this, Joe.
You're in between the other two guys. It's an international threesome. Just got it.
All right. All right.
Another one, yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. There we go. Okay. So,
You know, fun fact while we're talking, though.
yes.
Early 2017, Joe would be incredibly jealous of me right now because I was a huge fan of The Awake with Uphill Media.
Yeah.
I actually watched that on a regular basis. I was still in high school back then, and like it would be like you guys would be doing it during the TA period that I would have. So I'd be like grading papers while listening to you guys. It was pretty cool.
Oh, that's cool. Appreciate that. Thank you. Well, actually, that's a great way to segue into stuff.
Yeah.
Like the fact, there's a lot of stuff to talk about, you know, the war in Syria, but there's a few things I have to say before that. One is thank you to everybody who has continued to volunteer for the organization and offer your support, and to everybody who has donated recently. I haven't been using Action Network to send out irritating emails and say thank you and bug you about that. You get like an autoresponder when you donate, and this is the only other way I have to just really say thank you. I see your donations. I see who you are. You're the same awesome group of people that has been supporting us since the beginning, and in a way that's wonderful. In a way that's also not good for a business that's trying to grow, because we're not really growing. And I made it much more difficult for us the other day because I actually ended up deleting several of the Bernie TV original channels, including the SEO Wise, which had the original call to action on it, and a lot of the original rallies. At least one, if not two, of the Bernie TV channels. Political Revolution TV is completely gone, so all of the newsroom is gone. This is my fault. And I tried to work with Google to get them back. They won't. They said they can't do it. It's gone. And it was actually because Google was about to hit me with a $50 charge that I'd forgotten about, and I was already negative in my bank account, and I didn't want to see that double into an insufficient funds charge that I couldn't afford. And so I said, I don't know what's on this account, but I got to ditch it. And that's basically where I was at. And this is the same boat we've been in for a while. I've been in anyway. And it was almost more fun when it was just volunteer only and we weren't a nonprofit, and I wasn't worried about that as the profit. When they say nonprofit, that's a bullshit. That's bullshit. Nonprofits need profit to function. And so I just, this is a twofold message. One, thank you all for the close little family that we have. It is what we have, and I value that. It's precious, and it's going to stay that way, because I don't see how we move beyond this. And now that I've killed a giant piece of our footprint digitally, it's going to be even more difficult. And so so that's it. We're gonna work through the primary and the 2018 election cycle, and then just kind of reassess. But that's sorry about that, because so many of you worked on a lot of this. So many of you in the audience were a part of that, and your comments are all over that stuff, and it's all gone. I'm dealing a little bit with loss, so there's that.
Well, the name is Program John, Uphill Media, right?
Yeah.
Yes, most definitely. So Markus did some great slides today, by the way. I'll tell you. Okay, we'll get to that in a little bit. I want to show you the one that this is my favorite about the whole thing going on in Syria right now. Yeah. Today, I'm grateful that Russia and Syria did not bomb us for poisoning the children of Flint, Michigan, or gassing natives at Standing Rock. That just about sums it up for me.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Dina, that's nice. It's donate.uphillmedia.org. I appreciate that. There's been a lot of stuff going around the whole thing about the series. It's just we do the same thing over and over again. That's where the real mission accomplished is. I just wanted to show you guys that. Anyway, let me make sure I didn't hang on. Give me 1 second. I want to make sure I didn't have anything else in the top. Thank you all for your support. Am I supposed to lost much of Bernie TV? Pretty war picks. Okay, we covered it all. So Marcus, you can talk about the shows from the previous week, but I actually want to, before we do that, because we have Joe here, I want Joe to talk about what's going to happen on the California show tomorrow.
Yes, tomorrow on Progressive California, we're going to be having on Ron Placone, who is the producer at the Jimmy Dore Show and the host of Get Your News On with Ron, and a very progressive comedian.
Nice.
And he's going to be coming on to talk about municipal internet and his fight to get that in Pasadena. And if we have time, we'll also be talking a little bit about the 2018 midterms, so that'll be fun. We'll also be talking about, for my news segment, we'll also be talking about how California Democrats have been responding to Syria and how that is not good.
What does Nancy say? Give us a preview. Is she bombs away? Is she like,
her only response, like a lot of these Democrats' only response to the Syria thing is, "Oh, you didn't follow procedure."
Right, you should have asked us first.
It's a procedural objection. Like Mark Takano, who is a congressman who represents where I currently live right now in Riverside, was like, "Oh, it's terrible what Assad has done to his own people. We have to do something about this, but Trump needs to go through Congress first." I'm like, that's your guys' priorities. You're not going to say we want evidence first. We're going to ask questions first. No. We're going to do something. You just have to pass it by us first.
Well, even Trump agrees with that, or at least he did in 2013. It's just the president must get congressional approval before attacking Syria. Big mistake if he does not. Well, yeah. What's the big mistake?
California Democrats are at least somewhat sane enough to not go as far as like what Senator Chris Murphy is apparently saying, because he's like, this is just a half measure. We need to like really have a plan in place to take down Assad. I'm like, you're a Democrat. What are you doing?
Wow. Why didn't we use more? It's only 100 missiles? Come on.
This is just a half measure.
Wow. It was actually, and if you read the reason I put these two quotes on the card today is because this other quote by Joey M., right? Basically, 105 missiles delivered. Attack was double the size of last year's. My penis is so big. It's basically what they're saying right there. Just every guy who wants to bomb something and has a penis problem is just running around for joy today. Just look at me, look at us. It's really sad. So anyway,
the media's cheering on.
Well, yes. So cool. Tomorrow, Ron Placone, you guys are going to talk about that. Pick on some California Democrats because they need it. They need it most definitely. I saw Ron had Dennis Kucinich on, right?
Yeah. That was a really interesting interview that he did. Yeah.
What do you think of that? Scott always liked Dennis, and I never knew anything about him. What do you think of him? Is he solid, or is he a bullshit progressive?
I think he's pretty solid. I really do. And I actually watched the final debate that they had for the Ohio gubernatorial race this week. And out of all the candidates, I think Dennis Kucinich was the most progressive and the most solid. He actually goes around like wearing this like F badge saying, this is the grade I get from the NRA. He's for gun control. He's for getting Medicare for all in Ohio. It's pretty amazing. And hopefully he does get in because it'll be really interesting what will happen in Ohio with a progressive governor. Absolutely.
I agree with that. So what was the race? Was that just the what exactly did they have? I wasn't paying attention.
In the Ohio gubernatorial race?
Yeah.
Right now,
Was it just the primary? Did he make it through?
No, I think the primary is going to come up in a few weeks, I think.
Oh, is it a few weeks? Okay. Yeah. I saw him in the news, and I wasn't sure what was going on. He was going on about something, and I was like, oh, what is it? But by the way, and the reason I ask is because I still have Density sent me, right?
Oh, damn.
Okay. So, this is the reason I'm asked. Like, I've been so out of touch with things for a number of reasons, but Density McCarthy sent me this, right? And like an entire, I got more stuff to promote Dennis than anything else. And then another weirdness, and I don't know how, like a while back, somebody sent me one of these shirts. Probably Dennis again. Here. This one, right? You guys have seen me wear this shirt.
Wow, cool.
I just got another one. But I have no idea who it came from. So if you sent me this shirt, thanks. Again. Anyway, I just the whole point being, you know, is it over or do we need to promote? And should we see if we can get Dennis on?
Yeah, we should get him on, and like especially if he goes through the primary and if he's Democratic candidate in the race, yeah, we should definitely have him on at some point. Yeah.
I mean, look, if he's willing to come on Ron from the car, come on our show, right?
Yeah.
And I'll be okay if he wants to do the car. I won't ask him to set up good light. I know I'm picky with our candidates.
Yeah, he actually, Dennis Kucinich, like originally that was supposed to be just a phone call, and because Ron was like, "Oh, you're gonna be traveling and stuff," but then Dennis Kucinich was like, "But this is like an internet YouTube show, right?" And then Ron was like, "Yeah," and so like he actually purposely, like the entire time he's holding up this phone, talking into it, when in reality Ron was perfectly okay with him just calling in, without the video.
Because Ron was like, "I'm not gonna expect this old guy to be able to do this."
Yeah, he was like, "You're traveling. It's fine. Just call in. I'm glad that you're calling in. Like you're on my show." And then like Dennis Kucinich like, "No, this is a video thing." So yeah, I'm
that's
on
awesome.
camera.
That's so. I mean, gives me great hope. Gives me great because I didn't see the whole all the interviews with Zuckerberg and the old people talking about Facebook, but it was clear that a number of them didn't even have a fucking clue as to how it functioned. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, honestly, like the summary of that Zuckerberg hearing is just old people asking questions that seemingly make sense to them, but make no sense to people who actually know how to use technology. And Mark Zuckerberg being like, "Can you clarify that?" before proceeding to say, "Well, we allow Facebook users to have control over their data." Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it's really sad. It's like you could explain to a 5-year-old and they'd get it, and no matter what you said. You know, or you could tell the audience there in Congress, "Oh yeah, this is how it works. You know, the stork delivers, and then the users have control of their data, and then pink rainbows." And they'd be like, "Oh, well, where are the pink rainbows on my phone? How do I access them?" Right?
Yeah.
It's really frightening. Anyway, yeah. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. Marcus, do you want to take us into past shows? What we had going on?
Normally I would say no, but I already made this joke, so I say yes.
Okay.
And we should start with Progressive California, and Joe is here. And last Sunday, Laura and Joe had Jess Phoenix as a guest, and she was talking about a lot of things. I chose for this show a very important matter, in my opinion, if you look at what's going on in California regarding the climate or the environment. If you see that companies like Nestle are sucking California dry in large parts, and then you see the fires, all what comes along with all this stuff. And of course, if you don't have any water in the ground anymore, everything is going to dry, and it is an easy victim for the fires. And this is what we are seeing season by season, or maybe in meanwhile over the complete year mostly. And yes, and let's listen what Jess Phoenix has to say about this.
All righty then.
Great. And then the last bit is strengthen the EPA to protect clean air and clean water. And we have a lot of issues with water, both companies like Nestle, taking more than their fair share. Talk a little bit about what the big hot buttons are for you regarding clean air and water.
So that is something that we actually can all agree on, regardless of party. Everybody I talk to wants clean air, clean water, clean soil, and because those are fundamental things you need to live. And this is why I think the environment needs to be more of a voting issue. A lot of people say that people don't vote on the environment, and I think we can prove that wrong. We see Republicans, Democrats, Libertarians, Independents, far left folks like coming together and saying, protect these things. They're essential to our lives. And so I want to make sure that, California in particular, we have this issue with the drawdown of our aquifers. We are draining them for a lot of times, industrial or agricultural needs. And that is actually causing the ground to subside or sink in the Central Valley by, I think it's like 18 feet the last time I heard. Don't quote me exactly on that number, but it's over 15 feet where the ground level has actually dropped because you're taking water out. And so the ground level just goes whoop. And this is something, we know this happens when you take a liquid out of the natural environment container that it has. There's actually Terminal Island, which is down by the Port of Los Angeles. And Terminal Island had oil in it. They drew the oil out of it and the island dropped 33 feet and started flooding. And so they actually pumped water into it to pull the ground up. So we've seen this, and that was, you know, the 1920s or 30s, I believe. And so we've known for a while that subsidence, it happens as a direct result of drawing down our aquifers. So it's really, really important that we have good water management as we move forward. And I don't know if you want to talk about it now, but there's some really cool new technologies that we need to be investing in that will get water from different sources. And I think that we've got to use all of our ingenuity if we want to be sustainable with a growing population and with a changing climate.
Yeah. Before we go into that, I know it looks like we've got a few questions. Joseph, I know this is a little early, but there's a couple.
All right, I think that's where you wanted me to cut it off, Marcus. Yeah. Hopefully.
Yeah, you should have gone further, but I think the basic message she said, and yeah, it is very important. And I cannot understand that if you look at the rights, that Nestle is sucking off the water without any valid contract, as far as I know. And this, and they are doing this for years right now. And this is completely ridiculous. You know, they're sucking the water out, which is, in my opinion, a basic human right, you know, and they go and sell it to you again. This is absolutely crazy.
And then what's going to happen? The same thing that we see in Flint, where do they get their water from? The bottled water fucking facility.
Absolutely.
Right? Instead, California could invest in their own water purification if they needed to and provide it back to their citizens like they should. If I were living in California, I would be scared to death of my water rights right now.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you know, I'm on well water here. And, I know how much water I got. And we know what goes in. It's really interesting when you have well water. I speak to farmers out there. Why are you voting for Republicans and for corporate Democrats that allow Nestle to take the water from your ground? Farmers all across the valley, the Farm Valley in California, are spending it's tens of thousands of dollars to drill new wells. They only get the rights to drill a certain number of wells at a certain number of time. They're all violating those laws right now. They're like, I'm going to drill as many goddamn holes in my ground as I can to access the water because it's all leaving. And it's because those same corporate people that they vote for, guns, freedom, and God, are the same assholes who are saying, Nestle, please suck everything out of the ground. So when the farmers run out of water and the farmers want to know who to blame yourselves. Okay? We really got to start pounding this message into their heads. When you vote for people who want to do that shit, you're the ones who lose. You're going to lose your water and you're going to die. This isn't like losing your freedom of guns. This isn't like losing your freedom of, going to where this is something you need to survive. And I know you think you need your gun to do that, but you don't. This is frightening. We are starting to see our natural resources privatized and completely turned into something we're going to have to pay for. Water. It's just absolutely disgusting. Anyway, that was a good clip. Thank you for bringing up that, Marcus.
Yeah.
Set up the next one because I didn't even open it.
Okay. We're going now to Washington, and last week we had Tyler Vega here on our show on We the People, and when I started the research about him, there was one thing which I absolutely was not 100%. I did not agree with him.
Right.
In any case, this was the gun law question, which he, in my opinion, was very weak, if not to say more or less right-wing leaning. At least, as far as I remember, he said in this text on his homepage that he respects the Second Amendment or the first one. might mix it up right now, that he respects the right to own guns and to have guns, and that he would not influence it at all. And it is more or less, it was said in this passage of his webpage. And it was very astounding when we had him on our show that he completely changed his mind about this. And I think this is very important when we have progressives and they have an open mind and see that things might not have been as they usually thought they would be, and then are ready to change their mind and to follow a new concept. Maybe I think this is very good, and this is worth to be supported, in my opinion. But I think we should run the clip first.
Well, thank you. Sorry, I was just reading comments. That was well put. I was reading comments basically because I want to tell everybody thank you for commenting, and I haven't even addressed them. We're going to come to Joe in a minute here and just find out what everybody's talking about. But thank you for setting up that. As you said, Tyler did have a change of, and you and I discussed that when we were doing the dossier. I'm like, yeah, it seems to be the only.
Yes.
Yeah. So interesting that this happened. Here we go. Tag into that because we're talking about interpreting the Constitution, reinterpreting it, putting back things that are missing, and so I want to just skip on over to the Second Amendment and talk about gun control. We had a statement that was pulled from your website, but in Green Room you were saying that you had changed your stance on this, and your stance was more of a person that said, I understand. Here, I mean, you said I understand you said you were right-leaning on it. I want to find your exact words here, but that you understood the right to own a gun, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I speak of it now. That was written about 3 months ago, and if you'd asked me then my stance on gun control, I would have said I'm pretty far right-leaning, and I believe in the right to keep and bear arms pretty staunchly. And I still do. But I refer to it now as the spirit of the Second Amendment. What were they really saying with the Second Amendment? They were saying, okay, might makes right. Therefore, the people should really be armed just in case somebody or someone wants to try and tyrannize them. And I've always believed that that the spirit of that was really true and should be sanctified and should be kept around. Since then, Parkland happened right after that, and I had a lot of talks with a lot of people, and I saw, this passionate voice of our young people, and I was just really inspired and moved by it, and started reevaluating. And as a result of the studying of the real First Amendment, came to what is now the Second Amendment, and I started paying more attention to the first half of it. It was a particular conversation with a person I know peripherally on Facebook. She described the problem as a hemorrhaging wound, as opposed to a symptom of a problem, which was my analogy. And she was really right about that. And I started realizing that the kids were asking for real change, and we needed to figure something out. We needed to figure out a way to maintain the spirit of the Second Amendment, hold true to our Constitution, and stop people from getting killed. And the first half of the Second Amendment reads, a well-regulated militia being necessary to a free state. The people shall, the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed upon. And so a well-regulated militia, would look like some of the things that are being talked about. A well-regulated militia would have an age restriction, for example, would have mental health requirements, would actually have, you would be enrolled in a militia. You would have people who are keeping tabs on you as a weapon owner. And so I've really almost done a 180, but basically backed off a lot and really wanted to honor the fact that the heart song and the spirit of our most vibrant and intelligent, and supple and evolving class, our age, that being the youngsters, this is their banner now, and they changed my mind, and so they, and that's great. I mean, I'm not one of these candidates that's gonna hold hard and fast to a point of view. I'm exactly the opposite. I'm gonna very strongly consider every side of everything again and again and again and again and again, and especially people who disagree with me, and try to come to more and more intelligent and highly evolved solutions to these problems. So if you ask me, if you look at my website, it's out of date, and I apologize for that. I'll fix it right after the show, hopefully, if I can carve away a piece of time. But if you ask me right now, I would say more. I would say, age restrictions. Yes, it would be the people's choice. It would be, let's say I get elected to CD6. I'm going to ask the people how I should vote on that rather than voting on my point of view. But my point of view now is that yes, common sense gun control is definitely appropriate, and also the citizens militia is definitely appropriate. But we need to do it intelligently, and we need to do it in a way that isn't going to result in a lot of the madness that I don't really need. Yeah, as you guys know.
That's a good place to stop there, right?
Yes.
We brought Joe back in, but I want to ask you both a question about what he just said at the end there, and I want to start with Joe because you're in California, and then I want to get the German position on this. But he said a citizens militia is a good idea, and I want to say, okay, does the National Guard not qualify? Is that not our citizens militia? Because the state controls the National Guard, not the federal government. So that's my thought. And if not, what do you think it should be? Because I know the other option, and I don't want that around at home. Joe?
Yeah, I actually kind of had the same response as you. Really, like I was like, isn't the National Guard kind of like the militia that you're referring to? I mean. I guess I'm glad that he's changed his stance slightly on gun control, I guess, which was his main thing here, which is, thing about progressive candidates is that they're willing to admit it when they've changed their minds. So yeah, that's good. But I'm not really sure about the militia, if I'm entirely honest with you.
All right. Fair enough. You know, Markus, do you have a German militia? Is there and what do you think of the whole idea?
Well, to start with, it brings into my mind the scene from the late '70s movie Dawn of the Dead, directed by George A. Romero, where was a scene where you see a militia hunting those zombies coming across the hill, and they were drinking beer and they had barbecue, and it was a big fun game, And somehow, I don't know, the word militia makes this picture ring in my mind, So in Germany, we would not need a militia. Why? We have well-trained police, and of course we are not that big and large as America is, And a militia here would not be allowed. It is forbidden by law, The only executive here are the police or the military if it goes further, And no one else is allowed to build another organization or a group which arms itself to order for law and order. But, this is completely unthinkable here.
That's totally un-American. Right.
Yes.
How could you do that? You take away our God-given right in the Constitution, because God and the Constitution go together.
Yeah, but this is the big difference. We don't have such a thing. Nobody wrote in our Grundgesetz, in our Constitution, if you want so, that a German is allowed to possess a weapon as his right. It makes absolutely no sense for us. And it will never make sense for us.
No, but like you said, you guys have well-trained police. You have a military, although nobody thinks it's big enough. Just want to, you have a tiny military.
Yeah, we are a tiny country. We are half the size of Texas.
Yeah, but you only spend like, what is it, 2% of your GDP on, or whatever the number is on your military.
I think we are slowly reaching the 2.0%. Yeah, so maybe we are at 2.1 already. I don't know, but it is not more.
57.
Yeah, congrats, Yeah,
and we don't have health care, we don't have college education, but we got 57. It's so huge, you can't compare. You must feel like a tiny man.
I think it's a little bit unthankful, John, with all this money in the military, you have the opportunity to watch late at night in the evening these grandiose fireworks going up, in the direction to Syria and stuff, or Iraq before. And, you should appreciate this service. Your government does.
Germany didn't participate in the bombing, which I saw. And also, Dennis is joining us, who says Germany is the third biggest arms seller in the world.
This is a complete different story. We are not the pacific. No, absolutely not. Absolutely. We are selling. For example, we are selling weapons to both Congos. Both countries are in war for decades. We are selling the weapons to Congo. We are selling weapons to Saudi Arabia. We are selling weapons to everywhere where it's not forbidden. And even if it is forbidden, we will try to find a solution how to manage this stuff,
Well, I just want to go on the record as to tell everybody out there who has always said, you always talk about Germany. Here's an instance where Germany is just as bad. They sell weapons too, even though Mama Merkel did not get involved in the Syria bombing because she's like, we are too busy selling weapons to the Congo, right?
This is a completely different story, and we'll come to this a little bit later.
Interesting. So, Germany. What I find, here's the thing. I want you to think about the compartmentalization of government power, right? Because when we talk about the struggle that we're going through in the progressive movement to actually take power, which is what it is. Okay, we have to take power back from corporate interests and people in our government who don't give a shit about us. Okay? Germany is in a different place. They've taken back a lot of power, or at least managed to contain their government in different ways, but they still got problems. They still got a government that sells weapons, and they still got a government that goes along with a lot of the imperialistic bullshit capital crap that the United States does, right? But they definitely have a government that listens to the people more, and they definitely have a democracy that functions better because they've been participating in it for decades. And it took them decades to get where they are, except for with healthcare, which they've had since the late 1800s.
Yeah.
I just want to, they've had the same fucking kind of healthcare all the way through the Hitler years. Hitler was like, kill everybody, but I won't touch healthcare. I mean, it's basically, it's unbelievable. But that's so when we talk about democracy, when we talk about how are we going to accomplish, how are we going to get there, how we're never going to get this far, it's like, well, look at where a country can be. They can be great over here, and they can have good education, and they can have good gun control, and they can still have fucked up shit that needs to be worked on. But the people are better cared for and in a place to actually work on that crap. That's where we need to get to. That's where we need to get to. I'm so jelly of Germany.
Well, let me just say a quick word to the healthcare and Hitler and healthcare. You see, guys, if you once in America will have the single payer healthcare, the universal healthcare, not even a dictator will dare to take it away again, right?
Right. There you go. Once you give it to the people, maybe that's the big message there, and our government knows that.
I mean, it's one of those things where you once you give people this and they realize how great this is, they don't want to have it taken away. That's why the Affordable Care Act, each time they try to repeal it, everyone's like, no, you're not going to do that. We like what we got out of it, even though this was a very limited right-wing healthcare plan that we got from a Democratic president and a Democratic majority. Yeah, we still like it because it was better than what we had before, because what we had before was even shittier than this.
That's so true. My God, that's so true. It's like, please don't take away our really crappy healthcare.
Because the one we had before was even crappier than what we have now.
Oh, we're such a dumb country. Anyway, that's totally true. What's sad to hear? Oh, Art Bell. That is sad. We just skip on over to Friday the 13th because that was yesterday, and Art Bell, who had a radio show, Coast to Coast. It was I forget the dude who runs it now, but if you ever spend any time watching that or listening to it, the show talked about paranormal activity and stuff and aliens. Fun. Art Bell died on Friday the 13th, which I guess is kind of fitting. It's cool. That works. It's good for ratings, I'm sure. What else is? Oh, this looks like depression. What looks like depression, Barbara? We're a dumb country already. Well, we got ourselves into this place. There's been other reasons why we've been this way before. The church was the major stifling of education and growth for 400 plus years, really. But now it's just government control. We will get around it. All right, Marcus, set up the next piece because I don't have it. Is it? No, we did Tyler. What's the next piece?
I think we are.
Are we done?
No, nearly. We have the news. The review of the news of last week.
Oh, right. You're going to talk about
two topics. One thing. Yes, we started talking about this at the beginning of the show.
Right.
One is the Syria attacks, and yes, what it is all about. I think it is a strange thing what is going on right now. There are lots of people talking about starting World War III and stuff, etc. But if you look what really happened, I think what we're seeing in this slide is a new arithmetics in the Trump era. You have a problem, you have Trump, and you have a reaction. What happened? It was the attacks in Syria were announced for how many days? 5 days. I think about 5 days. It was enough time for Syria, for Assad to take all the chemical weapons away. Before the attacks, before the missiles started. The French were informed by the US government that the strikes are starting right now. Of course, the Russians were informed that they don't get into the fire, that they don't get hurt, So everything what we see was a complete bullshit. It was complete staged, Nothing really happened. From the reports we hear, of course, they are not confirmed. Nobody was hurt. And of course, the targets were hit, Okay, the targets might be hit, but the question is there anything in it? I don't think so, If Assad is halfway clever, then all the stuff is gone. So the chemical weapons are still there. If the chemical weapons are there anyway, which we don't know, because we did not see a single fucking proof. We only have to trust the governments of the United Kingdom, of England, of the USA. We have to trust Macron suddenly, and they say, okay, now we are going with USA. And what is the fucking? I want to see the fucking proof for this, And if there's no proof, so what are they doing there? To me, it looks a complete staged thing because the Comey book is out, and Donald Trump is seeing that the piss level is rising. You can see it in the middle photo, and this is a pure desperate act. The acts are nothing much more than fireworks, in my opinion.
Did you say the piss level?
Look.
He's pretty upset there. I just got to say that had the technology existed, this would be you and I having the same discussion circa 2003.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right. WMDs, show me the proof. We're gonna bomb them anyway. Doesn't fucking matter.
This was one reason why Angela Merkel said Germany would not join this Syria alliance or whatever you want to call this. But on the other hand, yesterday she said, okay, today in the morning she said she supports the strikes and there should be a signal, and completely politicians talk, bullshit talk, And,
right. Well, because, like you said, they've got weapons to sell. They just didn't. So what really happened is we just cleared our shelves of more than 100 Tomahawk missiles at over $1 million a piece. So cha-ching, right? You guys apparently didn't need to clear anything off your shelves. You're just doing good. So
yeah.
That's really what it comes down to. Do you remember Andrew Feinstein in the Global Arms, the Shadow World book? We interviewed him. You can't find it now; it's been deleted. But in that great interview, we had a piece from the movie which you can find, which is Shadow World. If you look that up, and I'd love to run a screening of that. But they interview an actual arms dealer, and Mr. Arms Dealer says a few interesting choice pieces. One is he says politicians are like prostitutes. They're just more expensive, right? And the other thing he says is weapons are like groceries. You have to get them off the shelves. We have to move weapons. There are new weapons to come in, right? So that's basically what's going on. We got old weapons got to get them sold to somebody. Who's going to take these weapons? Oh, how are we going to justify building new weapons? Got to blow the fuck out of something. Who's going to get blown up today? That's basically the United States. Making its own product, selling its own product, making a reason to make its own product. That's us. Go USA. Sorry, Marcus. I'm very soapboxy today. It's weird. I don't know. Anyway.
Well, anyway, it was a distraction, and that's the point of what I wanted to say.
It was.
Yes.
It was. I love the next. I love your next piece.
The other big story of the past week was, yes, I hope you guys have your handkerchiefs with you, because end of the year we got to say goodbye to Paul Ryan, and he is going to resign, and he wants to be with his family. I can completely understand him. You know, family is the most important thing in life, and yes, he wants to see his children grow up, and of course it has nothing to do with a certain man with a big mustache in his face who is threatening to kick his butt out of his office. And yeah, so he decided it's a clever move. He stays silent about Trump as well. You know, he doesn't say a bad word about Trump, but Trump is the reason why he is leaving. You know, and he sees no chance with Trump in office as president that he would ever win against Wendy Bryce in this election. And so he says, okay, I'm going now, and he will take maybe a TV contract for some millions, or he will wait a couple of years, and then he will turn up again, and he will say, okay, here I'm again, and
please
look, I am the new candidate for the Republicans now, and this is going to be
the new
for the future.
The new head guy on The Apprentice. That's his new role. And my favorite part about that, other than the shit about the family, right? Says, you know, this warmonger needs to go home and spend time with his kids. Is when he said he's really accomplished most of what he wanted to accomplish, which is frightening. Frightening when you think about what he did, right? And he's proud of that.
Yeah.
I wish we could delete his work like we could delete ours off YouTube.
Yeah, and if you look into his room, you see in the back on his wall there's hanging a painting of the president.
He did some serious work there. That's a great from Family Guy. That's wonderful. Paul's so sad. I love your Photoshop work, or your non-Photoshop work.
And what he's watching now, the midterm elections. You know, this is why he's not smiling.
Right. And everybody's like he's third in line for whatever, but third in line for a ship that's going down in flames. Why would you want to be on that boat? He's gonna wait for it to reset. You know, all these fuckers that quit get jobs somewhere in the circle of corporate shit.
Yeah.
So he'll have a role somewhere. Pundit.
Why not give him a chance at Fox? You know, there are so many actors leaving. You know, so you know, why not?
Give him his own show.
Yeah.
Get like -500 ratings.
Everything is possible. This is America. You know.
He would do great. He would do great. He would have great ratings. Lots of advertisers. It would be great.
Yeah.
Hey guys, Republicans are sinking like a stone. The Dems are like a Titanic. They're both going down. It's pretty bad. It's great work on that though.
Thanks.
Are we already to next week on UHM? Are we?
Yes, we are going over to the next week. Yeah.
All right.
So I don't know much I have to say about Progressive Oregon on Sunday, but
well, I have a card. Actually, I'll talk about Progressive. Progressive Oregon is going to be talking about the Poor People's Campaign, and they have a couple people coming on to talk about that. Betsy Cunningham has been helping to put the program together because Larry's just really effing busy, and I'm just going to say, wow, the Oregon Democratic Party is a hell of a lot more corrupt than I thought. That's all I'm going to say. I'm just going to leave it at that. Anyway, so yeah, that's Oregon. We're talking about the Poor People's Campaign, which is cool. I know very little about it, so I'm excited to learn. And then we already talked about it again, but why not have Joe?
Yeah.
Tell us, Joe.
Oh,
Ron
right.
Placone.
Ron Placone's coming on He's going to be talking about municipal internet and how he's trying to get that in Pasadena. We're going to be talking a little bit of strategy. He also has something to say to the mayor of Pasadena, who is not necessarily on the right side of net neutrality. Also, for the news segment, I'll be doing some stuff about how California Democrats are incredibly disappointing and incredibly pro-war.
So nothing new.
Nothing new. Nothing really new. It's just the same thing.
You're not going to come through with like breakthrough. Pelosi finds something decent about her and votes this way.
It's really hard.
I know. I hear you. Anyway, thank you for that again. And then we have We the People, right?
Oh yeah.
We the People with Rosa Calderon. She's candidate for California's District 4.
Yes.
That's awesome. And what else you got here? What's this middle picture?
This one. This is look. These are her endorsements. You know.
Oh,
look,
nice.
Oh,
she's
wow.
endorsing her. You know. Susan Sarandon, Dolores Huerta, Justice Democrats, Brand New Congress, all of them. You know. She is a big number in the game, in my opinion. You know.
Yeah.
And, I'm tempted to be with you guys, but I can't. Sorry.
All right. That's cool. That's cool. And then Ryan Kohaste.
Yes, on Wednesday we have Ryan Kojaste, you know.
I'm going with Kohaste. You're going with Kojaste. Okay,
I told you.
see,
Yes.
See which one is right. All right. And just so everybody knows, there's that District 12 again.
Yes.
District 12 in the Hunger Games. This is where Pelosi lives.
Yes,
Yeah.
this is where
Yeah.
Pelosi lives, and there are three very interesting candidates running against her. You know, we can see it in the next slide.
Yeah.
We already had Stephen Jaffe here on the show. We had last week Shahid Butara on the show, and now we are going on with Mr. Kojaste, and very interesting candidate, very progressive candidate as well, very young, 25 years old, but we will see what he has to say. And yes, it would be great to get all of these three candidates on one table. I don't know if Nancy Pelosi would have time to come to this meeting,
No.
but to have these three candidates on one table and discussing stuff and debating, and so the viewers and more importantly the voters can make up their minds from what the candidates say.
Right.
This would be my dream, you know.
I would love to do a roundtable like this. It's going to take people in California to help us organize and gain support for it and grow reach for it, because it's not going to be just because. So we would need that. We would need that from everybody in California. Nancy Pelosi, I don't want to have show up. I want to invite somebody else to impersonate her. Could be Ron. Where wants to come on? I don't care, you know. But somebody in California who really knows Nancy should come on and just be for her, because we know she's too busy. She's busy making deals with Trump and, you know, whatever.
She has to collect money, John. Don't forget this.
She has to
This is
collect
full-time
money.
job.
Yeah. She's the master legislator, guys. You know,
That's right.
She's too busy for us.
That's right. She's legislating. Not sure what, but she is. So anyway, that's that's just call out California. You want to do a roundtable with your progressives against Pelosi, and that's exactly what we should call it.
Yeah.
The progressives against Pelosi roundtable, and then just have her, you know, on, and just whoever wants to do that. Let's get that together. Jilly Love. I love looking over and I see P loser. What does that mean? Who are we talking about? Is that a reference to the P tapes?
No, Pelosi, P loser.
I'm so dense. I get it. Ha. That's funny. That's funny. That's good. For the love of Sagan, don't put Pelosi on screen. Here, big and full and real color. That's a great face for her.
Yeah,
that's her. That's how surprised she was to find out she had Democratic challengers. Oh,
with this face, if the movie series Scream would still exist, you know, she would get a major role, I guess.
She would. All right, what else we got? Oh, we're to music.
Yeah,
we're to music. I'm just gonna soapbox for a second, and then you can take us out with this. I love this music. I have no idea these guys existed. Love their hair.
Really not?
Love their hair. Thinking I could do that. I could pull it
and
all
the hair and the shoes. You know, it's not only the hair.
I haven't even looked at the shoes, but I just want to tell everybody.
All right.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for continuing to help us be here. The progressive movement is getting all stanky. It's getting full of the same kind of crap that we see in the rest of government. We now have a group of progressive-leaning entertainment individuals. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. What I'm saying is, to everybody out there that has to choose where their few dollars go, candidates first, organizations that are helping candidates second. But why don't we just save, given the entertainment industry of the progressive movement, all the cash? I get it. It's fun and it's enjoyable and we need the break. And it's great that it's a narrative that we can approve of. But really, it's not helping the movement. And I'm not calling any names. I'm just saying I see more and more of it. And I'm like, wow, it's just somebody using ratings to gain a progressive audience and talk about, but they're not even accomplishing anything other than just hashing shit. That's why we stopped. So I said, if we're going to do this, it needs to be fucking useful. Again, I'm not saying that entertainment in the progressive narrative isn't useful. We all need that. But when it comes to where your money goes, make sure it goes to where it counts. That's all. I just want to say that. Because money, we need it. In order to get money out of this fucking thing, we have to use money. Right? Which almost sounds like bombing for peace, which makes no fucking sense whatsoever. But it really does. We're fucking for virginity. We're spending to remove capitalism. That's
Yeah, that's insane, yes. You know?
Anyway, thank you, Joe, for being here. It was really nice having you on.
It was fun.
Thank you, Joe.
Yeah, and Brian and Kelley with CFAR 2018.com. Thank you guys for coming on and explaining all that to us. Markus, as always, thank you for putting together this show. It's really yours. I just take it over. And,
Thank you.
Tell everybody what we're going out with. It's a nice song. It's a nice song.
It's
a cool song.
we are talking about today. We're talking about a series about Russia, you know, and today we are watching a clip from the Leningrad Cowboys. You know, these are guys which are coming not from Russia. I'm sorry, this is a fake news. This is a fake band. This is no Russian band. Well, the Leningrad Cowboys, they're coming from Finland, and the original idea came from a film director, Akis Kaurismäkis. I don't know that that you guys are too familiar with him. He's, as I said, a Finnish director, and for one project, which is called the Leningrad Cowboys Go America, he had several bands gathered around, and a part of them decided to go and run under the name Leningrad Cowboys. And yeah, they started, I think it was in 86 or 87, and it was in the middle of the Cold War, you know, and it was very unusual to have a band with this name and with this strange looks they have. And after the Soviet Union collapsed and the times between, there was an approach of the West and the East. They managed to have the Red Army Choir on their tours, and it was very impressive to see this big choir, you know, supporting punks, you know, because the members came from the punk scenes at that time. And yeah, and they developed a friendship with the Red Army Choir, and yes, great concerts. There was one free concert. I think it was also organized by Akis Kaurismäkis, the Finnish director. And yeah, the sad news was last year, 28th December, I guess it was, a Tupolev machine, a plane crashed, and on board there were 64 members of the Red Army Choir. And yes, this was a very, very tragic accident, yes.
That's terrible.
Yeah, from the clip we are seeing, I think there's a good chance that half of them are not living anymore. But anyway, it's a great piece of music, in my opinion, and something completely different to the normal stuff we are usually playing here.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah. It's a great choice. I love this.
Thank you.
And the hair is great. And
yeah, watch the hair and the shoes.
And the shoes, yes. And it starts off really slow, but it builds up. It's like 6.5 minutes, everybody. So settle in.
Yes.
And I'm seeing all your great comments. Thank you, everybody, for being here. And thank you for keep watching. Yeah, appreciate that.
Thank you all for watching.
Just for Cindy, Russia, Russia, Russia. Yes, Russia, Russia, Russia. Bye, everybody. See you tomorrow.
Bye.
Progressive
Have
Oregon.
a great weekend.
And I didn't bother to check this for copyright, so it could kill. Just so you know, I don't think we'll be okay. And can I say for punk? The dude totally rips on guitar. They're actually a decent band. I didn't cut that off. The video did. That sucks. Thank you, everybody.